Welcome to Mystery Defense Academy presents Concealed Carry Basics Part 4, Ammunition. Here you can see a cutaway of a round of ammunition. There are four basic parts to a round of, or a cartridge. Bullet, the case, the powder charge, and the primer. Note that the bullet is just the projectile, and so it is incorrect to refer to a round of ammunition as a bullet. Bullet is simply the part that leaves the gun. That's the bullet. So you can call it a round of ammunition, a cartridge, but only call a bullet the projectile part. So here you can see the case is a metal cylinder, usually made of brass, that is closed on one end and contains other components such as the primer, powder, and the bullet. The primer is an impact-sensitive chemical compound used for ignition. And there are two types of primer. There's rimfire, where the primer is contained inside the rim of the case's base, and then there's centerfire, where the primer is contained in a small metal cup located at the center of the case's base. The powder charge is a fast-burning chemical compound used as a propellant and is contained inside the body of the case. The bullet is a projectile, usually made of lead, sometimes covered with a layer of copper or other metal, and is located at the mouth of the case. So the types of cartridges, we mentioned it, rimfire and centerfire. A rimfire cartridge, the priming compound is contained in the inside of the rim of the case head. Centerfire cartridge, the priming compound is contained in a metal cup, called the primer, in the center of the case head. Rimfire, the most popular rimfire, is the 22 LR or 22 long rifle. Also the 17 HMR is another popular rimfire round. Centerfire, most of your handgun ammunition is a centerfire, such as the 32 ACP, the 380, the 9mm, the 45, the 40, 357 Magnum. Those are all centerfire cartridges. And so the firing pin strikes the center of the cartridge where the primer is. In the cartridge firing sequence, what happens when you pull the trigger is it causes the firing pin to hit and ignite the primer. The flame generated by the primer ignites the powder in the cartridge. This powder burns very rapidly, producing a high volume of gas. And these expanding gases push the bullet out of the cartridge case and propel it out of the pistol barrel at a high rate of speed. It could be anywhere from 800 to 4,000 feet per second. Here you can see this graphic shows kind of an illustration of what's going on here. So we've got the round in the chamber, the firing pin strikes the round, ignites the primer, that flame from the primer ignites the powder, and that creates expanding gases, which pushes the bullet out. Safety and general guidelines. Generally, you should inspect ammunition for safety flaws and imperfections. Understand the range capabilities of ammunition. Remember safety rule number 4. Be sure of your target's environment, the background and beyond. What's beyond your target? Because every time you fire a gun, you are responsible for where that bullet ends up. Be sure to use proper caliber ammunition with the gun to be fired. Don't mix up a 380 with a 9mm, even though they're pretty close. They're not the same. And know the difference between defensive, jacketed hollow point or JHP, and practice ammunition, full metal jacket or FMJ. So defensive ammunition, some considerations are reliability, with the ability of a firearm to consistently chamber, fire, extract, and eject a particular load without malfunctions. For reliability, you want to make sure that you practice with your defensive ammunition. Make sure that your firearm will cycle that ammunition properly. Controllability, the ability to fire multiple rounds and still manage recoil and maintain accuracy. Stopping power, the ability of a cartridge to quickly incapacitate an assailant or otherwise cause an assailant to stop his attack. Accuracy, ability of the gun and ammunition combination to shoot to the point of aim indicated by the sights. Muzzle flash, when in excess, it will impair night vision and illuminate your position. Hollow points, they open up, expand in diameter upon impact. This more efficiently transfers energy and also prevents over-penetration or complete penetration that could endanger the lives of others. So a JHP or a jacketed hollow point is definitely advised for defensive ammunition. Make sure that you use proper caliber ammunition with any firearm, and you can find that ammunition in the stamp or to ensure the caliber is correct. There are 3 places to look. One is on the firearm, one is on the box, and one is on the cartridge case. They should all match up with the same caliber when you're using it in your firearm to be safe. Make sure you're using the same one. I want to talk about 9mm ammunition for just a little bit. This is the most popular defensive firearm ammunition that is currently being used, and so we want to make sure we understand what's going on. There are different types of 9mm ammunition. Remember, the caliber basically refers to the diameter of the bullet, the projectile. So what we've got here are 3 different 9mm rounds. So there's one is called the 9x19. It's also called 9mm Luger, 9mm Parabellum, or 9mm NATO. This is what most Americans mean when they say 9mm. There's what's called a 9x18 Makarov, which is a Russian caliber used primarily in Russia and Eastern Europe, and then a 9x17 Kurz, which is more commonly called the 380 ACP. So it's true that the 380 is actually a 9mm round, but it cannot be used in your standard 9mm pistols, because when we say 9mm, we're generally talking about the 9x19. And you can see in this designation, the 9 is the diameter of the bullet, and then the 19, 18, or 17 is how high the case is. And so even though the diameter of the bullet is different, is the same, the height of the case is different, and you should not use these interchangeably. So the 9x19, the 9mm Luger, 9mm Parabellum, 9mm NATO, those are all the same thing. That's fine. Use those in your 9mm handguns. The Makarov only use in a handgun that says 9x18, and the Kurz or the 380 ACP only use in a handgun that is specifically made for that caliber. Some cartridges have a +P or a +P+ designation, indicating that it's loaded to a higher than standard pressure level. This higher pressure ammunition must only be used in firearms certified for it. So check with your handgun manual with the manufacturer to see if your handgun can handle the +P or the +P+ cartridges. If it does not specifically say that it can handle them, assume it cannot. Practice ammunition, non-expanding type, typically full metal jacket or FMJ, involves greater penetration of target. It's a reduced powder charge with more manageable recoil and generally costs a lot less than defensive ammunition. Care and storage of ammunition. Always keep ammunition in a factory box or container that can be properly labeled. Store ammunition in a cool, dry place, free from extreme temperature variations. Store it separately from guns and not accessible from unauthorized persons, especially children. Keep it away from acids, salts, or other chemicals that can cause corrosion. Never submerge it in water or expose it to solvents, petroleum products, bore cleaner, ammonia, or other chemicals. These chemicals can penetrate the cartridge and cause the primer or the powder to deteriorate. Defensive ammo stored for long periods of time in your handgun should be rotated, and generally annually is a good basis there. Malfunctions. 3 types of ammunition malfunctions. One is a misfire, one is a hang fire, and one is called a squib load. A misfire is a failure of the cartridge to fire after the primer has been struck by the firing pin. So you pull the trigger, you hear the firing pin go click, but there's no bang. That is a misfire. Hang fire is a perceptible delay in the ignition of a cartridge after the primer has been struck by the firing pin. So you pull the trigger, you hear the click, there's a delay, and then a bang. That's a hang fire. Squib load is a development of less than normal pressure or velocity after ignition of a cartridge, usually noticed by an unusual difference in recoil or noise. So what do you do if you experience a hang fire or a misfire? When a cartridge fails to fire immediately, it will not be known if it is a misfire or a hang fire. It could be a delay and be a hang fire. Because hang fire can cause the pistol to fire after a substantial delay, the pistol should always be kept pointed in a safe direction for at least 30 seconds before the action is opened to remove the cartridge. Squib load, keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction, wait 30 seconds, then unload the gun. Check to make sure the chamber is empty and the barrel is free from obstructions. Sometimes during a squib load, the bullet gets lodged in the barrel, and if you try to fire again, very bad things happen. You do not want to fire a pistol if a bullet is lodged in the barrel. The dangerous range of ammunition. Again, the safety rule, be sure of your target's environment, and safety hazards. And the dangerous range of handgun ammunition, the little puny little small 22 LR, 1,600 yards, that's a mile, is the dangerous range. 38 special 9mm, 2,400 yards, mile and a half. Okay, and so it's a serious thing when we're using ammunition, using firearms. So always be sure of your target, the environment, and any safety hazards. Can penetrate sheetrock walls, doors, windows, ceilings, floors, fences. Could endanger innocent persons. If you're in an apartment building, don't assume that the wall's going to stop it. Can pass through your assailant to endanger innocent persons. So if you shoot at an assailant, it could go right through them and hit people behind them. So always some considerations to be aware of. So this gives you kind of an introduction. It's a quick little review of ammunition, what ammunition is made of, the four parts of ammunition, and hopefully gives you a good review of the ammunition basics.